Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ballin with Bill. I have a great special guest over here at Sideline Power here today, and it's an honor to have Coach Chris Fant. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, I always like to start out with my guests is kind of how you got started in football as a young person, and who are your people that you looked up to and all that.
Okay, yeah, I got started in football when I was about a fourth grader, but I always loved playing. More so was being outside with my friends. We had a little lot right next door where I grew up to on 36th Street in Omaha, Nebraska, and we played football there every day. And then I asked my dad one day if I could play organized football. He said absolutely, and kind of all she wrote from there. I've always loved football since I was a young kid. So, yeah.
Awesome. So when you were where'd you play high school ball at, Coach?
I went to Omaha Burke High School. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I graduated in 2006. Jack Olent was our head football coach at the time. And ironically enough, I played for our defensive coordinator was Coach Huffman. That's over at Bell West right now. So,
yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
That's right. I forget he was with Jack. I forget that.
Yeah, he was. He was a great coach. One of the reasons why I went into coaching and into education. Yeah, I had him as a teacher. I think I purposely took his class, so I'm pretty sure it was like 3 out of the 4 years I was at Burke. I had him as a teacher. So, yeah, we had a good time together.
Yeah, I think I met Coach Olent when he was at Omaha South a long time before he went to Burke and stuff, and always thought the world of him and the kids that because I was at Washburn at the time when I recruited young people that go down there, and he always a gentleman and recommend quality kids to come to school and play football.
Yeah, he was definitely was a good man and a man of work ethic, and he pushed us all to be the best we could, and he did not take it easy on us when it came to that. If he saw potential in us, he wrote us. So I was glad I went to Burke. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're having a good season this year so far.
They are.
They're having a year off last year, not being able to play and participate.
Yeah, and they're getting better every week too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they'll be somebody that'll be in the thick of things during playoffs.
I think so too. Yeah.
So you're a Bulldog.
Yeah.
So after you were there, so when you continue your football career, where'd you end up going? What'd you do? Tell us about your college career.
Yeah, so I after I graduated from Burke High School, went to UNK to play college football there under Daryl Morris. He was our head football coach. I played defensive end. Bob Crocker was our defensive coordinator. Great experience. Loved the place. I met my wife there, Julie Minich, but is now Julie Fant. She was a volleyball player. I went there not really knowing what I wanted to do with the rest of my life outside of football, and found a love for education, and played there for 4 years, got my teaching degree from there, and did a little bit of indoor football after that. But yeah, went to Kearney and played there for 4 years.
When you look back, who are your mentors that you really looked up to that guided you in football and life and all that?
Oh man, like I'm anybody who knows me, I've always been a big personality, but I believe in having a close knit support group. So my family, my mother was a big part of who I am, and my dad, I put him in different categories because there's 3 men that I've always looked up to. My dad, Muhammad Ali, and Ray Lewis. Those are 3 guys I've always kind of.
Yeah, I think Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali also.
Yeah, and not just being the champ, but just what he stood for as a man. My dad's been, my parents were together for years, and my dad's always, been that person who had a high standard for me. No matter what anybody thought I could or could not do, he pushed me to be the best all the time. So, those 2 guys, and then Ray Lewis. I mean, who doesn't like that guy? I believe I like to think I have the passion that he has for life, creating change, and going out and making a difference through your play, through your platform, through whatever, by any means that you can, to try to create positive change.
Yeah, I met Muhammad Ali when I used to be professional wrestler. He'd come to a couple of our events when I was at the WCW, and always was a gentleman. He had Parkinson's, you could tell, but he was still a gentleman, sit around, tell stories. He's just a wonderful person.
See, I would have loved to have met him in person. That's a great experience.
It was. It was kind of, and I had a signed autograph from him, and today I don't. It must be somewhere in my wrestling stuff, but I don't know where it is. But it was, it was an honor to meet him. And
that would have been amazing. I bet that was an out of this world experience.
It was, because you always looked up to him growing as a kid because he was kind of in his prime when I was growing up, and watching him box, he was one of my favorite people ever to watch box. And I always thought he was a dynamic person, and really cool. So I mean, it was really neat. It was a special time in my life to meet him.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand. My dad liked him. I never got to watch him fight. I never knew him as a fighter. I just growing up learning about him in school. in history classes, and my dad was big into boxing. He liked watching boxing, so just kind of learning about him through there, I really started to admire who he was. So I didn't get to live in the era, but I bet that was a good experience.
It was neat. He's a special guy.
Yeah.
Really. I always be special. One of the special people in my heart, as far as people I looked up to growing up as a kid.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Him and Johnny U.
Yeah, Johnny Unitas.
Unite us, we stand.
That's right. That's right.
But okay, so now you're college. So where'd you go play semi-pro at, Coach?
I played for the Omaha Beef.
Did you really? Who was coaching you?
Andy Yost was our head coach.
Okay.
And then
Was
Dan
Sherman helping out there at all? Or was he step? Was after he stood down? Colvin, Coach Colvin.
Colvin was not there when I was there. This was after, so this would have been 2010 to about 2015. No, 2011 to about 2015. Yeah, so I played about 3 or 4 seasons there, and it was Andy Yost, and then it was Dan Tureen.
Oh, that's right. Dan was there for a while.
Yeah, and then after that, I kind of I started having kids and started my life, and I went straight from playing right in. I think my first year of high school coaching, I was still playing indoor football, and then it became quite a bit. So I just had to pick one. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's go. Where'd you start high school coaching at? Because you graduated there.
Yeah.
Did you come straight back to Omaha, or did you go somewhere else and coach first?
no, I came straight back to Omaha. If I ever could have done it again, the one thing I wish I would have done is I wish I would have been a GA, because I think I could have done a good job and probably started a college career as well, because I've always really wanted to end up at that level.
Correct.
Just kind of give it a whirl and see what it's like, and just live football nonstop. But went to after I got done there, I went straight to Omaha South, got a job as a teacher, and started coaching under Kevin O'Donnell, who is now, I think he's still the offensive coordinator over at Papio South.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it wasn't. I didn't really have any plans. I took the job because my cousin was a teacher and a basketball coach at South at the time.
Okay.
And I'm a special education teacher, because I could have went to just about any OPS school.
You're open up.
Yeah, but I wanted to be a part of something that I could build. That's even I know my era. We grew up playing like college football and Madden. I always was the guy that picked the weakest team on the game, and I'd try to recruit my butt off and make that team good, so I'd have New Mexico State competing for a national championship within 4 seasons.
Sound like Mark.
Yeah, it's not the same when you're doing it in real life as it is in that video game. So I had to, but I pride myself on building. So I took that job. The first year was not really what I was expecting. We were probably one of the least talented teams that year. We went 0-9, and we were getting beat by like 40 points against teams that weren't very good. But I saw it as an opportunity to really learn. I mean, I believe that if I go somewhere and coach my butt off that doesn't have the talents that we need to be successful yet, when I get the opportunity to get a bunch of talent and have the experience of really coaching, like you have to coach everything in schools like that. You have to coach, you almost have to be a little league coach to a middle school coach to a high school coach.
Correct.
To get them through those 4 years. You're going to feel, because a lot of them come to you with no playing experience, or maybe just 1 or 2 years from middle school. So I just looked at it as an opportunity to build myself and feed on the craft of coaching and cut my teeth in it, because it's completely different than being a player. Completely different. I mean,
night and day, my friend. Night and day.
Yeah, I thought I knew so much about coaching in the game of football, but I found out very soon I didn't know very much at all.
Yeah.
And then Kevin O'Donnell, man, he doesn't get credit enough, because he was at South for I think 4 or 5 years. Yeah. But I learned so much from this guy, and some people may look at that like, well, what did you learn from a team? I mean, we didn't win very many games, but I learned organization. I understood treating every day like a new day, not letting things make you feel like lesser of a coach, but know that the bigger picture is you're creating change in the young men that we're coaching, and our job is to get them as best as they can be when they leave.
I mean, I've had experiences in coaching, and when you get players, it's totally different.
Yeah.
I didn't work as hard when I had players.
Yeah.
I just got to have them organized and be sure we're sound.
That's right. That's right.
When you don't have players, you got to do everything.
You do. From
ground up.
Yeah.
I mean, it is totally different.
It is, and it is it is a task. It is, because you have to, things you wouldn't have to say to people that have football experience. We have to still tell some high school kids at both the South and even now in Northwest how to put pants on. We got
Has the eighth
kids.
grade programs help that a little bit or not?
A little bit, but I think the days, like most of the kids in our area that play little league football, they're the ones that everybody's going to get early. So if you're just going to the middle school football games, most of those kids already have an idea of where they want to go to high school.
Okay.
So those little league teams are kind of where it's at, and that's the foundation to our high school football success in the metro areas. How good of a program you can get your high school program attached to. So we're kind of trying to figure that out and try to establish that for ourselves as well.
What is your the under kids program? What is the one in your area?
We don't have there's a bunch.
So I know you got like the little Vikes out there,
and Coach Martin's done a great job of having that group affiliated with him, and he's all so by the time those kids
it's just changed because those kids all used to go to Central. Back in the day, and then all of a sudden Larry got them all over there.
And he goes down to those games. The man is just he's mastered what he does when it comes to helping whoever develop whatever talent there is, and he truly wants to see kids get better. And he wants, and one thing I've learned with him was working with him over COVID, we're trying to figure things out. He wants all of OPS
to
be good.
He's a good man.
He is, and it's not just about Omaha. Like at the end of the day, right? It has to be because that's where he's the head coach.
Right, correct.
But he wants he's done things to help me try to figure out different things with getting a feeder team going and how he's been an open book. If I got questions, I can call him up and ask him what he thinks, and he won't hold anything from me. He'll tell me how he sees it and what he thinks I could do and things like that. So yeah, you got the little Vikes. You got we used to have a feeder team, the Junior Huskies, but that didn't quite work out. The Junior Packers is a pretty good team.
Okay.
So I think every high school just about had one, but I think they're all starting to dissolve a little bit because we just had kind of COVID happen. But I think things are going to change too because you got new high schools coming up. I think there's becoming a bigger market for little league teams now.
Oh yeah, because I know Westside that really helped them. They got involved and really built that thing, and that's what helped them. I think make a comeback and have the success they've had here lately.
Well, and when you get kids at a young age expecting to put your logo on, and they're wearing a similar logo as a little kid, running a similar type of offense, they see your face. Like when they get there, you already have somewhat of your culture built. To where when you're getting kids who don't know you from Adam, they don't know whether they can trust you, whether you know what you're talking about, or anything like that. So it's definitely a difference between the type of athlete you end up getting.
Right, and until you've been there and done that, nobody really knows.
They don't.
They don't.
We get people will look on the outside looking in and be like, man, there's all these kids in this school. You guys should get at least 150 young men out every year. That's what they did back. Well, that means kids don't play anymore. When you have to recruit your building for kids who've never played before, that makes the job that much. And we do. Don't get me wrong. We do recruit our building heavily. We recruit the middle schools. We recruit Little League. And what I mean by recruit is it's more like advertising.
Yeah,
we want you to come. Yeah, we want you to become part of what we're doing. I just use recruit for the lack of a better word, but really we're just trying to get people to understand we want all kids that want to come and try to get better. Right. Yeah.
I know it's fun but exciting, but it's also headaches at times too.
It is.
Sit there and
it is.
You got more hair than I do. I know I'd pull mine completely.
Yeah. Well, I got 3 small children too, so that trying to balance them all, it sometimes can be challenging. But I think we're doing all right.
That's good. So you started at South. You finally got your. What year did you get your head coach? I'm trying to remember. I'm getting older.
Yeah,
I've been hitting the head a few times.
Yeah, man, my journey's been a little bit crazy because I was a head coach at 26.
I thought you were really young.
I was very young, and I did not know. Like we survived. So Kevin was there my first 2 years. By the time we went into my 3rd year, I was the head coach. My younger brother transferred in as a junior after his sophomore year at Burke. He played 1 year under Kevin, and then his senior year, I was the head coach. And I didn't want to do it at first, but, it just kind of worked out to where I did, and I was kind of pushed in that direction. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did that. And it was a good experience, but I did not know. I mean, I survived off some of the talented kids that we had there, but I did not know how much went into being a head coach. So I had to really cut my teeth and learn how to study, go to coaching clinics, and really if I wanted to be good, I had to tell if I wanted to be, because you can't. I know a lot of good coaches that don't have a great win-loss record, right? But you can tell, like, hey man, this guy, if he ever gets a hold of some talent, he's gonna put together a monster of a program. And I wanted people to be like, okay, Coach Fant is taking over South. When he leaves there, is it better than when he took it over. I would like to think it was.
I thought it was.
Yeah. I think we got to a point where we were competitive in a lot of games. And our kids, you could start to see the caliber of football players we were putting out there. Their bodies were better, and their mind of the game, their football IQ was going up as well.
What was it like coaching your brother?
Oh man, it was fun and intense all at the same time. Me and him are extremely close. Mm-hmm. We're 10 years apart, so I'm his older brother, but sometimes I'm like the cool uncle. Yeah, and then there's something because my dad is very active. Like a lot of times, people think that I'm like his father. Like I've been asked, "Oh, is that your son?" Not even close. Man, I was 10. I was 10 when he was born. So he's not my son, but that is my little brother, man. But we've always been extremely close. So coaching him, and since he was little, so when I started college football, Noah started Little League because we're 10 years apart.
Okay.
So when he would come down to the games, I'd take him in the locker room with me, and so all his experience mine was learning because my two older brothers didn't play football. So I had to learn the game through just what my dad knew, and he played, in the 60s and 70s. So it was a big gap between when he played and when I was playing. So I had to do a lot of learning there too and figuring out my own way. But with Noah, all he knew really was what I was telling him and what he was seeing on Saturdays when he would come up to games. And he would always tell me, crazy enough, man, he'd be like, I'm going to play here one day. And I'm like, buddy, the goals will be much higher for you, being the second one of our family to come out and go to college, play college football. So he just always wanted to be good. But in high school, teenage boys, they sometimes want to, and then he started to get a little success. There was times where he thought he knew a little bit better or was going to do it his way. And I never took it easy on him. If I caught him slacking, I was on him. If he wasn't running sprints hard enough, I'd scream at him. I'd blow my whistle in his face. And there were some times where things got intense.
Brotherly love.
Oh yeah, there was a time. I'll share this here with you guys because it cracks me up. I had to kick his behind out of practice. My dad's there too, and we're running sprints, and he's walking by chirping every time I'm chirping. I send him home. He's getting ready to leave. I'm like, no, stop right there. You take all my shit or stuff off, and you get your butt in the car and head home. And I sent him home in a tank top and a girdle. Well, he gets home. We get back to my parents' house. My dad comes up and was like, "Hey, you did the right thing, man. You should have got his ass out of there sooner." And my mom, as soon as I walk through the door, and she makes a beeline to me and just rips me a new one about embarrassing in front of his teammates. And but I tell you what, the next week we played Bell East. That Friday night we played Bell East, and he dominated that game. But it all stemmed from I had an expectation, and if you wanted to be the best in the state of Nebraska or the best that's ever, because that's what we always were taught, be the best that's ever done it. If you're gonna do it, have your goals so high to where when you're done playing, they'd be like, man, there might not ever be a tight end that good, right? So that was the standard I had for him, and it's a little bit easier for me to hold him to that because he's my brother, and I could take it a lot further. Because though I may not be able to do certain things here, when I get you at home, when ain't nobody looking, it's gonna be a different story. So it was a lot of hard coaching, but I would not trade that experience for the world because it brought us. We were already like, I bet if people were to ask him, he would say I was one of the people growing up because he's told me this that he looked up to, idolized me, my dad, sure. Other people. Your big brother's always up here.
Yeah.
But that even, if you could even imagine, that brought us even closer together. Like being on the same sideline. And those are memories I'll never forget. I'll never forget those things.
That's a good one.
Chest bump and all kinds of stuff. There was a game we playing Central. He's coming off the edge. They do, J-Ball used to like the sprint outs. And I was telling them all week, like, if the play side end doesn't stop the sprint out, this can be a big play because they ran some combinations out of the back end of that. And our defensive end tripped and fell right in front of the quarterback, made him pull up, and Noah's just running full speed and just smokes the quarterback. Helmet comes flying off. Probably one of the bigger hits I've seen in high school football. And there's a clip that he always, will remind me of me just going nuts on the sideline. We're chest bumping. So those type of things I will hold with me forever, just because I got to do it with my little brother.
Yeah. So and he did well for me because he had a great career at Iowa and first round draft choice for
the
Broncos. So obviously a lot of that coaching worked and got him there.
Yeah. Well, he told me, he said, man, between you and Dad, by the time I got there, it was easy. And his strength and conditioning coach was one I really liked. That's one of the reasons why we chose Iowa was Chris Doyle.
Right.
I thought he's hard nosed, old school dude. And I was like, man, you better really be ready when you get down there to go through this man's strength and conditioning program. And he would tell me, he was like, it was easy. It was easy. He was like, no, the work was hard. He was like, but him screaming and hollering, he was like, it was not. He can't push my buttons the way you and Dad did. So it was a little bit easier for him, I guess. So he got prepared in that mindset.
Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Coach Fant.
Hi, I'm Mark with Sideline Power. Today, we are introducing the all-in-one wireless headset from Multivoice, the MV1. Communication is a game changer, and with the MV1, your communication will be faster, stronger, better. The MV1 is faster with no base station, one-button setup, microphone mute, and you can use it every day in practice, allowing you to practice the way that you play. The MV1 is stronger with 900 MHz frequency, 5 times more power, completely weatherproof, and up to 1,300 yard range. The MV1 is better with 10-hour battery life, 8 channels, noise canceling technology, and works with up to 15 coaches. When the game is on the line and you need to make the call, make sure it's with the MV1. If you're ready to make your communication faster, stronger, and better, give Sideline Power a call. Or find the MV1 on our website along with our other game-changing products. And remember, stay powered up.
Welcome back. Here I'm with Coach Fant here at Ballin with Bill. And Coach, how long were you at South before you decided to make that move over to Omaha Northwest?
I was over there for a total of 5 years. I was a head coach for 3. And I guess, I was over at South High School, and I loved the community. I loved the building process that we were in. I loved the kids that we had started to get there. But I had a calling. Like, I'm from North 36th Street and right by Belvedere, if you're familiar with Omaha.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
in between. I grew up between Belvedere and McMillan on Florence Boulevard. So I wanted, and then we moved out to 108th and Maple, or 108th and 4th. So I wanted to be somewhere more centered around what I grew up around and help in those areas. Because I feel like all those schools that are at the bottom tier of high school football, they deserve good coaches that are doing it for the right reasons. And I was able to put together a good staff at South. So I was like, oh, man, maybe it'd be time to get back to the northwest side of town and see what I can do with what kind of where I'm from and the young men in my community which is where I live. I live right off 90th and Fort. So my drive to work now is only 5 minutes. If I don't catch any traffic lights, it could be even shorter than that.
You're real close if you're going to get for it.
Yeah. So South, I was driving from 90th and Fort all the way over there, and like I said, I loved every second of it. But it just was something that the time was right. I felt like I needed to be back on that side of town. Not saying those kids didn't deserve me, because they did, and that community embraced us. And it was hard for me to leave. It was truly one of the harder things. And my wife just kind of broke it down to me. My wife and my mom, it was like, if as passionate as you coach and as much as you give to these boys, every year you'll have a kid that's a reason why you can't leave. So you got to, if this is what you want to do, the time has to be now. So went over there and met with Mr. Lee. The principal and the athletic director was Andy Wayne at the time, who coached with Jay Ball over at Central. When
Andy's over at Westside now.
He is over at Westside as an assistant principal. Yep.
That's right.
Met with those two guys. Also was in the process of interviewing for some other jobs. And I fell in love with one of the jobs I was interviewing for. My wife and my cousin was a teacher. We're both coaching at that school. So after I met with them, I was like, man, those two are going to be mad at me, because if I get this job at Northwest, I'm going to turn down anything else I receive. And then, Mr. Lee called me and they asked me if I'd want to be, offered me the job, and I accepted it. And then I was there with him for 3 years. Yep, 3 years, and it was a phenomenal experience. And I'm still there now, but we have a new principal, so things are a little bit different. But it was a blessing to be able to coach.
Coach Lee's a sports guy.
Yeah,
he coached football himself and women's girls basketball. So
yes, he did.
He's always worked well with young people, so he's a great person to have as a principal.
Yeah, and he, coming in, he told me he put football as not like on a pedestal to where you get special treatment, but his philosophy was football starts the school year. So we need a person that can rejuvenize and bring excitement to our program, and that's in the building as a teacher that kids look to. And I was ready for a role like that. I wanted to be a face of a football program and a school in my community in which I grew up in. So I looked at it as an exciting time, and I'm loving what I'm doing. So going from South to Northwest, though it was tough, ultimately the decision I made was to be more backed by the community I grew up in, and I mean be around. Not saying that I didn't have that at South, but being around other two guys that have coached high school football and understand the value it can bring to your school climate and culture.
Right.
So that made me extremely excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So when you first got there, what kind of changes did you make and stuff to get your culture in there and get this program started?
When I first got in there, I brought in a lot of kind of what my philosophy was at South. And my overall coaching philosophy is no matter what the talent level is that I have, we want to work just as hard or if not harder than any school on our schedule or in our state. We want to work. It may not show up. It really, and there's sometimes I will honestly say as a coach, we've put in so much work and we've went 1 and whatever or
Right.
2 and whatever. But the way I'm able to get over it, unlike some other coaches, everybody internalizes losses different. The way I'm able to get
How do you
over
do it?
it,
Because it drove me nuts.
it does. And my wife will have a different side of the story.
Yeah, mine will too.
I tell you, the way I got over it was knowing when I cut on film that there wasn't 1 week that we didn't game plan for the multiple. I'm talking about 10, 15 hours, if not more, getting ready for every opponent. Our game plans always felt like we're on point. Our practices are always planned out and lined out. Like we're running a high school football program. We just don't have enough of high school football players yet with experience. We don't have very much depth. So that's always going to be a challenge. But the work ethic is what I wanted to change. I want our guys to understand that when we show up somewhere, I want the other teams to be like, damn, Northwest, boy, them boys play hard.
Right.
I think that's the ultimate compliment you can get in the game of football. Is when a team leaves, and they might have kicked your butt, but when they leave, they felt like they just got into a fight for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
The right way. Not none of this dysfunctional craziness, but just pads popping, guys getting after it, and fighting to be competitive. Because I think that translates.
You've been in a ball game.
Yeah. And I think it translates into life. If I can get that instilled in them as young men and athletes, when they go in life, there won't be anything that can break them.
I think, and I always will say this to your educators, that athletics is so important for these kids on their understanding life and how to get through life, because there's a lot of things that come up in life that you don't learn in school books.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't learn in this classroom that athletics teaches you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And we take our job very serious with the young men that we bring in. So we try to make sure we give them all the lessons we can to be a better young man and student athlete. So, because being a man is just as important as being a student athlete. That's what we always preach to our kids.
You're helping those kids grow up.
We are. We definitely are. So there's some challenging days, but we take them head on. I mean, what young man doesn't make mistakes, and what teenage young man doesn't? I mean, some of us are just fortunate to never get caught. So.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. I mean, there's times I felt awful fortunate myself.
Yeah, me too. I was no saint, to say the least. So.
Yeah. So now, when you first get there in your situation, what type of offense do you try to establish so you can move the ball and have success and all that, and then defense, and how does that work together? Because I know you probably don't get a platoon as much as you'd like to. So how do you put all that together so it works in a team concept?
So we, when I first got there, first year we were just very vanilla. They ran a spread when Coach Warren was there.
Right.
So we just kind of stuck with that, and I just added in a pro formation and ace formation, which is double tights. And we just kind of went out of that. But now we are more of a multiple formations offense. We like to get into different looks. And I'm an aggressive type of coach. I want to put the gas pedal down, and I want to make the defense have to stop us. And on defense, we're the same way. We run a 4-2-5, and we're coming. We're sending pressure. I don't think there's any coach on here in the state that we've ever played that'll tell you. And I'm not afraid to show it, not afraid to hide it. Like, we're coming. We're coming. And we teach our DBs to get hands on. No, we want to play aggressive. We want to. I mean, I don't know. If we're going to go down, I'd rather go down on my terms than on somebody else dictating the game to me. So, and it's worked. We've had some good game plans. We've struggled with executing some of them, but our guys are starting to be in position. We don't have as many blown coverages as we used to. We just got, sometimes we get out footballed, We get somebody goes out and makes a play over the top of us. But our scheme's coming along.
Yeah, that's good. Because, watch. You see blown coverages in the NFL on Sunday.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Where guys, what are they doing out there?
Yeah.
Somebody couldn't get the call right or whatever
Yep.
happened. You know what I mean? So it happens. I think that's one of the most difficult things sometimes is because there's so many things that people can do to you offensively, and the rules are more geared to that at all levels.
Yeah.
That one mistake and you're out of realm.
That's
coverage.
right.
I think coverage is the hardest thing.
It is, and a lot of the times one of my biggest critiques, sometimes even on myself, is I don't like playing off 10 to 15 yards at corner. I don't 5 sometimes is the furthest back that we'll let our guys press bail to because of throwing off timing. We want to be aggressive. Like we want that mindset of we're coming in. Like I said, we want guys to feel like they got into a fight for 4 quarters. We want to set the tone. We want to bring a little bit of that grit and grind back to football, at our school, and let it be known for something. What better way to, have a reputation of a school? No, we're not there yet, but the ultimate goal is that it's a bunch of badasses. Excuse my language. A bunch of badasses that go to school. bunch of guys that get after it. Bunch of guys that get after it. When they get out there. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How do you adjust? And I think I have that. You have a defensive background.
Yes.
Because one thing about high school football is 1 week you'll see the triple option like Miller North and the run of the one bone. Next week you'll see a split back veer. Next week you'll see a one back. They're throwing it all over the place.
Yeah.
Next week you see Huffman at Bellevue West that doesn't even huddle one time.
Yeah.
So how do you adjust all that? Because I think that's the biggest challenges for defense today and the rules and everything that.
Yeah,
and it goes week to week. So
it does.
That's where you do probably most of your game breaking down is on defense.
Yeah. So we like to see what it is that they want to do, and then we're going to take it away our way, and that's kind of what. So we want to align correctly to every formation they're going to throw at us. We want to be prepared for the up tempo if they're going to be up tempo. We want to be prepared for motions and what our adjustments are going to be, and let it then from the play calling standpoint. We're going to call what we call, but we want our guys to know what their adjustments this week is going to be. We don't want to change because one of my early mistakes was we would change every week for our opponents. And this is when I was a younger coach at South High School. And it was because now I'm teaching you from Monday to Thursday, and that's when we had a lot of blown coverages and a lot of mishaps coming from there. But now we're like, okay, this is what they like to do, and these are the adjustments from within what we do to be able to stop this. And our kids, they pick up on it. They pick up on it pretty well. And like one of the things we really started dabbling with the last 2 years is fire zones and zone blitzing, because we were told can't really do it in high school. It's hard to do it in high school.
That's being an ex-offensive coach. Those things drove us all nuts.
Zone
blitzes.
Yeah.
If you're coming and you're in man, at least we know you're in man and where we got to get our outlets to.
Yeah.
But those zone blitzes, when you drop out of there and get in the zones and only certain guys, that's hard on the protection. And it's hard for the quarterback to read that.
It is, and especially high school kids. So,
hey, I got NFL guys throwing the coverage too.
That's right. And even college. So in the high school level, because I played in a defense 4-2-5 in college, and they would drop me in coverage sometimes in the flat. And I always thought that was the coolest thing. Like I get to act like a linebacker here,
being the flatter.
Yeah, and I got me a couple picks. I think I had 2 in my 4 years.
They get caught. They think it's a full out blitz. And you're standing right there,
and they're looking to just get that thing out of their hands. And here I come, just dropping at the last second, and get my hands up, and be able to pick it. But it does. It creates confusion. And if we pride ourselves on being able to teach. And I was scared to do it at first, and I will use the word scared. I'm like, man, I got some stuff that I know we could probably execute that'll help us. And one of my assistant coaches, who's now my defensive coordinator, Noah McKeever, was like, hey, we got some of the best teachers in the building, and like throughout, like we got some good teachers on staff. Like, let's teach it to them. Let's see what happens. So that was kind of all I needed to hear, and I was like, all right, well, let's do it. And we've kind of been going with that since then. So we use some zone blitzes, and we use zero blitzes. And it's really made us a bit more competitive. I mean, defensively, we've had some games where we've kept ourselves in all the way to the fourth quarter. We've been competitive in almost every game we played this year, except for Bell West, who is a friggin' awesome high school football team.
Them and Millard South are what I've seen so far. Just look ahead of everybody else.
They do. They're well coached. They got great young athletes. Those two teams are probably going to be slugging it out here for the title, in my opinion. But other than that game, I mean, we've been pretty competitive in all of our games. We've been getting better week to week.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Are you still pretty young, Coach?
Oh yeah, we only have 2 seniors. We have 9 seniors, but only 2 of them have played varsity before this year.
Oh wow.
So we only had two guys, and then we got one back late in the season, the third guy from injury who had some varsity experience.
Okay.
Yep. So everybody else was coming off of their freshman year, the last time they had played football. So those guys are juniors now. And then we got sophomores who's never played before high school football starting at some positions for us too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They didn't even play in junior high or any of that.
They played junior high ball, but they didn't play their freshman year because OPS didn't play. So they didn't play their freshman year.
Oh,
high
yeah,
school
'cause that's right. You guys
Yep.
did.
There was
That
no
hurt a lot of
varsity or
schools.
underlevel.
That hurt
Yep.
a lot of schools.
And I think a lot of us we had to go through the growing pains of they just don't know what they don't know yet. And you start off getting upset, but then you have to remind yourself, like, man, the last time this kid was tackling somebody, he was at Davis or Morton or
Right.
one of our local middle schools. So
Yeah.
we just took the approach of we're going to watch so much film to where they can see themselves, and we're going to help build their technique up as fast as possible. And I think a lot of other Metro Omaha schools have done that too.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them progressively get better every single
Yeah, I think
year, too.
I think it was that year off affected everybody. And I think
Yeah.
everybody's gotten better in the
Yeah.
Metro League.
And in our school, it hit us, and I know it hit North and Benson and some of the other schools. We like some of those sophomores that were sophomores, they just stopped playing football because we didn't have football last year, and then we tried to get those same kids to come back out, and some of them just weren't interested anymore because they had been away from football for a year, and they got a job or other things took over in life, and we didn't get them back. And it wasn't a lack of not trying to get them back, but some kids had to get a job and start doing stuff, and so we didn't really have the depth as well either. But it's been a fun season seeing our guys being able to develop though.
Who do you finish up with, Coach?
We have Kearney High tomorrow night.
Are you going there or are they coming here?
They're coming here. They're coming to us. Yep. I was actually kind of looking forward to going out to Kearney, playing at
it's
the
because
stadium.
it's your old stadium.
Yeah, that is. So, but we missed that opportunity to do it last year. But I always look forward, man. When I was in college, I used to go to a lot of the Kearney High games, and watch those guys. So I have the utmost respect for their coaching staff and the kids that because they do have that reputation that we're looking to create for ourselves, which is those boys play hard. And they play violent and they play tough. So we're excited for the opportunity to see what we measure up tomorrow.
Well, good luck, man. I wish you the very best.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's an honor to have you out here today.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time from school and coming out here.
Yeah, no problem at all. I always look forward to talking some football. It was my playing period anyway. So.
Awesome. Well, we'll finish up here. We always, I was a pro wrestler at one time. The old calling sign was hush. That meant I want food or money, not necessarily in that order. You ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Hush! 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 Thanks, Coach.
There it is.
Appreciate it.